Yeah, I'm Alex Heath. I'm the VP of Corporate Development for K2 Gold. K2 is exploring for gold in Southern California, and like Keith said, we actually just pulled one of the best oxide drill intercepts in the Southwest US in the past decade. We got $8 million in cash, a solid exploration team backed by the Discovery Group. So we think that 2021 is going to be a very exciting year for us advancing the Mojave Gold Project, which has multi-million ounce potential. Before I begin, I will be making some forward-looking statements, and if we've learned anything from 2020 and in the last few weeks is that things don't always turn out as we expect. So please do your own due diligence before you make any investment decisions. So yes, we've actually just pulled in November 30th. We announced the first 3 holes from a 17-site or 17-hole program at Mojave and pulled one of the best oxide gold drill holes in the past decade in the Southwest US. One of the first holes we had was 87 meters of 4 grams per ton from surface. And within that, there was a higher grade core. And as Keith had mentioned, we still have 14 holes remaining and other chip samples from an Upland Valley discovery that we've made earlier in the year. In December, we applied for a 30-site expanded program. This will allow us to do 120 more holes. And as I mentioned earlier, we are sitting on $8 million cash, so we are fully funded to expand our drill program into 2021. We are part of Discovery Group. If you haven't heard of the group, it's an alliance of 9 publicly traded companies. We share people, we share costs, we share ideas. The Mojave project itself, as Keith mentioned, was owned by Great Bear in 2013 before they made the Dixie discovery. And it was a sort of chance discussion that our CEO, Steve Swadden, had with Chris Taylor, looking at, hey, we need a project we'd like to be drilling on year round. He said, hey, we had this great project in California. We just didn't have currency. We were trading at 5 cents. We couldn't advance the project. And then we made the Dixie discovery. So you should take a look at this one. So it took Steve about a year to negotiate with the underlying property owner. He's a bit of a challenging person to deal with, but we were able to get a deal done. And not only that, we inherited a drill program. So we were able to quickly get to drilling. So again, with Discovery Group, we've raised over $750 million since 2002. And most recently, Kaminak, which was sold to Gold Corp for $520 million. And Northern Empire was sold to Core Mining for $117 million. So we've got a great track record, a great exploration team behind us. Our capital structure, we're sitting at about 70 cents right now and about 64 million shares outstanding. We trade on the TSX Venture and on the OTCQB and in Frankfurt as well. Insider ownership is quite high. John Robbins is the chairman of the company. He owns about 5%. Our CEO, Steve Swadden, owns another 5%, and other insiders make up the balance there. We've also got close associates which hold about 36%, so it's very tightly held. We closed our financing in December of 2020, raised $7 million at 56 cents with a half warrant at 75 cents. Looking at Inyo County itself, so this is the county where our project is located. Mojave is right dead center in the middle there. This is home to Death Valley National Park. Inyo County is the 2nd largest county in California. It's right along the Nevada border. It's only got about 18,000 people. Lone Pine, which is the closest city or town to the Mojave project, is only about 2,000 people. And what you'll notice here is that this area is heavily reliant on tourism, leisure, hospitality, and with COVID hitting, the amount of traffic that's come through the county has gone down by about 85%. So a significant decline. They are really feeling the effects economically of COVID. And so what we were hoping to do with our project is provide an opportunity to diversify their economy, to be a little more self-sufficient. They do rely on federal funding. They run about a $2 million per year deficit. They don't have enough industry there to pay for the roads and pay for the maintenance of the park and the national forest. So we're hoping that we are actually a catalyst here for them. Looking at a map of the project, we've got about 50 square kilometers, so truly a district scale opportunity. Where we're focused on right now is on the eastern target areas. This is where most of the gold exploration has been done. There are 7 different target zones. To the west, there have been some previous mines. It's mostly base metals. So you'll see some silver, some zinc, and some lead. And to the far west, we actually staked this. It's a potential porphyry. So haven't done any work on that just yet. This is the typical type of geology we're looking at. It's mineralized from surface. You can see significant alteration. On the right here is a historic BHP road, which was drilled in the late 90s. So for phase 2, we are going to open up that same road and drill off of that. Part of it is that we're looking at the same zones, but also try to minimize our economic or our environmental footprint when we go back in. Zooming in on the eastern target areas, again, there's 7 near-surface oxide targets. The ones that were drilled historically were Dragonfly near the north. The Gold Valley, which you see up here, is a new discovery that we made earlier in the year in 2020. Central Zone was drilled by Newmont and BHP, and the Newmont Zone obviously is named after Newmont, which was exploring the property in the late 80s. The East Zone, there's a historical trench that Great Bear, in fact, had done, and it returned 8.4 grams per ton over 25 meters. That is undrilled, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But so we're looking at from north to south about 6 kilometers, and from east to west, this East Zone area is another 2 to 3 kilometers. So truly district scale potential here. The results that we put out on November 30th were nothing short of spectacular. This is exactly what we were looking for. The best hole that we'd seen was from BHP. It was CM973, was 99 meters of 1 gram per ton. So we had our fingers crossed that we would intercept something close to that. Very first hole, 51.8 of 1.2, so spot on. Second hole, hit it out of the park, 86.9 meters of 4. This was actually following up on a trench, which also had about 40 meters of 4 grams per ton. So very encouraging there. If we can do the same at the East Zone with the Great Bear Trench, that would be spectacular. And the third hole, again, 62.5, 1.4 grams per ton. All of these are from surface. So this is telling us that we've got a potential open pit target. It's all oxidized. So very simple heap leach operation. We've got 14 holes remaining. So there's one more here, the MPMDF4, and then these other 4 holes in the second Dragonfly site. We expect to have those out next week, in fact. Looking at a cross section, so this on the left is the historic BHP drill hole. So from surface, this was your 100-meter intercept of just over 1 gram. We stepped out, so we weren't twinning holes here. We were stepping out 100 meters south, drilling down in that same sort of mineralized corridor, and we hit from surface down. So you're looking at a mineralized envelope of approximately 45 to 50 meters wide with a high-grade chute down the middle. So if you're looking at potential mining, you've got the perfect scenario here. High-grade core going down to surface. We have not hit the depth of this, so we don't know exactly how deep it goes, and it's all oxide. Another really interesting addition that we had was earlier in June of last year, we did what's called Worldview 3 satellite technology, which is the highest resolution satellite imagery that you can purchase commercially. And what this does is it takes a sort of a multispectral image of your property and gives you a fingerprint of what kind of mineralization you might be looking at. And so it allows you to take a big image. So here we're talking about 50 square kilometer area. It would take forever to do this on the ground, boots on the ground, plus the terrain is fairly treacherous. This allows us to do it much more quickly. And what we found was all the areas in the East Zone lit up. We kind of knew exactly what we kind of confirmed what we already knew, really, what we'd seen on surface in terms of grab samples and drilling. But this upland area, which is, you can kind of see Newmont is right here to the right of the screen, about 2 kilometers to the west, significant areas of what we thought was either it's mineralized or it's a false positive. So when we went in to do the drilling on the Dragonfly and Newmont zones, we just dropped in a couple of geologists with a helicopter, and they picked up 422 samples. what we found was large zones of alteration. We could see there was some visible gold. They did some panning. So we are very encouraged. We could have potentially a parallel system within 2 kilometers of where we have our mineralization. So very encouraging, very exciting. We don't have the results back just yet, but we're hoping to get those by the end of the month. So the next steps, we've completed phase 1. As Keith had mentioned, it was 4 sites, 17 holes. We're still waiting on 14 holes. So some of those are going to come in next week. The rest, there's lots of delays at the assay lab. So it's still a little bit uncertain. The 422 samples from Upland Valley are still to come. And again, that's sort of the sizzle here. We've engaged the local community. We're talking to the local tribes and getting everybody to just understand what we're up to. We are an exploration company, of course, but there is significant potential here for a very large multi-million ounce deposit. We put in our application for a much larger 30-site program, including the East Zone, which went in December. We expect to hear back in the next month or so, and then it'll go into a public commentary period and then on to permitting, where we'll get to do our 30-site program. That's all from me. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can go to our website. We have a much longer presentation. This is just sort of a truncated version. You can call us. I got Steve Swatton's contact details there and myself, or you can go to our website at www.k2gold.com. Thank you very much.